Welcome to the show, the Chuck Shoot Podcast. So glad to be here. Having a great day, in a good mood. Just had a great conversation with Michael Grant. So Michael Grant was in a band called EndeverafteR, and they did some great stuff. They toured with big bands, had songs on the radio and TV, and then that ended, and then he joined LA Guns, and he was a guitarist there for many years, and that's how I came to know him. I could see the talent just oozing out of him when he played. They did a show here, and then they would even give him a song in the middle of the set, and he did this stellar version of Prince's Purple Rain. He sang and he played the guitar. He's just very talented. In fact, on the new album, he plays the guitar, bass, drums, piano. He sings, he writes, he produces, he does it all. It's called Michael Grant and the Assassins is the band name, although it's mostly just Michael Grant doing everything. And the album is called Always the Villain, and we'll get into why it's called that. It's a brilliant record. The whole album is really good, very catchy, melodic songs that get in your head. So check that out, and I hope you enjoyed this interview. I had a blast talking to him.
Hey, what's up, buddy? This is Michael Grant.
Well, welcome to the show. Yeah, so if it's okay with you, I just want to kind of go through your whole career. I actually learned a lot about you doing research for this episode. I didn't know that you started out as a film star in the Philippines.
Oh yeah,
and but you don't seem to be proud of this. You're like embarrassed of this.
Well, it was I was young, and it's not a lot of work that I was super proud of. It was nice to be a part of as a kid and have that kind of experience. But definitely, I'm not like ashamed of it or anything like that. I just don't promote it.
No. Do you still get paid? Like, do you get royalties from that still, or was this a pretty brief thing?
No. And if they did pay pay me out still, then I would totally mention it. But
okay.
I don't make shit from that. From those movies. So
gotcha. So then you discovered Prince, Purple Rain, and that's what really changed your life and got you into music then.
Pretty much, yeah.
And Smashing Pumpkins?
That was one of those albums and Smashing Pumpkins' Siamese Dream.
Yeah.
So Prince, I would say, Purple Rain, Smashing Pumpkins' Siamese Dream. I was also heavily, I wanted too much, but I was like a pretty huge Metallica and Pantera fan. I was also into bands like, The Cure and 80s New Wave. I loved the British invasion of 60s, 70s, and 80s rock. Like, my musical influences were so vast.
Yeah. You said also the Skid Row debut, which was also one of my favorites.
Skid Row debut just was one of those albums that got me playing electric guitar. Like, before then, I think I was just kind of diddling around on acoustic and stuff like that. And I heard Skid Row's debut, Metallica's Black Album, Smashing Pumpkins' Siamese Dream. Like, I heard all of these bands like at a similar time, and Prince Purple Rain,
mm-hmm.
and it was just like, I was like, this is the kind of shit I want to do. I want to make this, like, I want to write this. Like, how do I get into this?
Yeah. And then you just taught yourself. This is what I'm curious about, because you taught yourself everything: guitar, drums, bass, piano. Did you have access to all those instruments, or how did you get to, like, because it's hard to find a whole drum set. And that's expensive, right?
Well, luckily my older brother Azeron, who was the lead singer of a band called Winter Rain, who was amazing. You guys should check them out.
Oh, well.
REIGN.
Okay. You guys did a band together, Sin, right?
Yeah, we were in Sin together, and we were signing with Nuclear Blast Records for our debut album, and I chickened out, and I kind of realized at that time that the music we were making was not the music I wanted to play for the rest of my life.
Oh.
Like, we were like a black metal influenced melodic metal band.
Okay.
And I don't know. I didn't connect with those audiences that well.
So you backed out of
I don't want to.
A record label, though? That's pretty, because it's kind of hard to get a record label, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's pretty ballsy.
Yeah, it was pretty hard to get it. And it was definitely, like, me and my brother weren't friends for a while, and my family was shocked that I would do that. But I just knew that I didn't want to play that kind of metal for more than the time I already had. I was already evolving as a musician, into some of the artists that I just kind of listed. And I knew I wanted to play rock music, along the lines of the things that I was listening to. And that's when I formed a band called Endeavor.
Right.
Not EndeverafteR.
Oh.
I formed a band called Endeavor, and we were going to release a 10-song album called Love or Something Like It. And we were working with this fucking slime bag of a producer guy who pretty much hijacked that album from me.
Really?
So yeah, and then I had to scrap yet another project, and that's when I formed EndeverafteR. And I was like, "Fuck you! You want to try to you want to try to hijack my art? Well, I'll just make new art, motherfucker."
So what happened to that album?
The well is deep.
Did you ever get it released?
That album never saw the.
Wow.
No, that album never saw the light of day, and he had. It was. I was young. I was like 17. So I didn't know the business of shit.
Yeah.
I didn't know the business of how things went, and I was getting ripped off left and right. Bad things were happening, and managers and promoters who promised this but deliver nothing. I was dealing with just the jokers of the business.
Huh.
And I was fucking green at the time. Too,
yeah.
So that didn't help either. So. We were like prime targets. We were like talented and, kind of wide-eyed and, really hopeful. The demons figure out a way to, smash your dreams at that time. And it takes a little bit of soul searching, deep digging within yourself to kind of, but I've repeatedly kind of had to do that. And I had to do that when I formed EndeverafteR.
Sure.
And I was just like, you know what? All right, here, you have that. I'm going to write Kiss or Kill.
Yeah, but you had, you talk about the demons, but you kind of had like a guardian angel in a way, because it was Pete Wentz from Fall Out Boy was the guy that kind of discovered you. He sent some managers to come to one of your shows. It was, I guess it was a church venue or something, but you guys had confetti cannons and pyrotechnics. That's pretty crazy. So
Yeah, we were playing a church venue called Club Retro, and, we were, I don't know, we were trying to be like a mini Kiss or something like that, at least with antics, not music. And, we built our own confetti cannons, and we built our own, like, God boxes that had lights shining when you stepped on them. So when you played a guitar solo, you looked like a fucking god. And we didn't know we were making that kind of a buzz, to be honest. And then limos were showing up, and people were kind of, courting us and taking us out to dinners and offering us different deals. And it was kind of weird how kind of, it snowballed into what it became. I actually didn't expect it. In our hometown of Sacramento, we got mocked for sounding, looking, and doing what we did.
Really?
We got mocked until we got signed. Then all these people who just dissed us for years were all of a sudden like, oh yeah, we knew them back when, and EndeverafteR's awesome. And we're like, what? You guys said that we would be nothing and that we're fucking jokers and we'll never make it, because predominantly at that time, emo influenced music, rock, whatever, kind of dominating, and so when we did something just a little bit different, we got laughed at, bro, like consistently. People were laughing at us.
Wow.
But, the world is much bigger than your city. So when the rest of the world caught on to what we were doing and they joined on, it was only then that our town of Sacramento finally was like, oh, well, yeah, we love those guys. I mean, we've known them, and it was the hangers on. And like, to be honest, dude, like that city, like didn't, not the whole city didn't know we support us. I mean, we were blacklisted from certain venues and given a hard time, had a hard time booking shows.
Wait, why were you blacklisted?
I was blacklisted from a club because back in my days of sin, I was a scrapper and I got in a lot of fights. And when bands back then were a lot more boisterous and kind of like chest puffy. And, if a band would talk shit, I was kind of a little hot-headed, and I would like roll up to dudes' shows and
Jesus.
punk the fuck out of them and like be like, yo, you want to say that shit to my face? I mean, this is,
Wow.
I was like 18 years old and I was kind of a different person.
Yeah. Gangster.
So that got me blacklisted at a couple of venues. But then that's why we started playing like church venues and stuff, because we were blacklisted from all the popular venues in Sacramento.
Interesting.
You know, and
okay.
these were the only guys that were willing to give us a room to play in, and like we were like, all right, we'll roll with it. It's all ages.
So the Crush management shows up to this venue, and they're the people that manage Fall Out Boy and Panic at the Disco. And then you got to end up opening you went from playing church gigs in front of 200 people to opening to Fall Out Boy in front of 10,000 people before you even had a record.
It was weird, bro. We just released our EP. It was doing all right. It wasn't doing great. And, you know, I wasn't expecting such a big buzz to come from this demo. I thought we would conquer our hometown and, you know, like I'd prove a bunch of people kind of wrong, but it kind of snowballed into quite the roller coaster of an experience as far as, you know, its success goes, as far as, you know, the band had gotten that almost famous kind of vibe we have.
Mm-hmm. So then 3 months
kind of it was a huge shocker. It was like we were playing these church venues at a maximum capacity of like 400 people, and then the next week we got invited to open for Fall Out Boy, Panic at the Disco, and I want to say like Saves the Day or something like that.
Okay.
And
wow.
Oh no, dude! It was Fall Out Boy, Panic, and All American Region.
Oh yeah, that's a big one.
That was it was a huge bill, and like it was in our hometown too. It was when they were playing Sac State University.
Okay.
So, you know, I just remember this is, you know, coming from that show last week where it was 400 people and stepping out, and it was just like people as far as the eye could see, you know, really curious about what's going on. The energy just being so intense. And for a split second, you know, thinking like, shit, man, I could possibly be out of my league here. And I just remember kind of like sacking up and being like, fuck this, let's do this. And
nice.
And then next thing you know, we're doing all the Endeavor After things. Doing all the Endeavor After things we did.
Yeah. So then 3 months later, you're opening for Poison and Cinderella. Those are very different sounding bands than like the Fall Out Boy, Panic at the Disco. Was it your management that suggested you do that, or okay?
I think Poison acquired us because they wanted a fresh, new, upcoming band to open their string of arena dates for like a 3-month tour.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow they got hold of the Endeavor After Blood on the Stage EP, and they were like, we want this band, we want them. And it was kind of a weird thing because right in the middle of that, we were already booked to play Udo Festival to open up for Kiss.
Right.
So they still let us do the tour, even though we had to miss 3 dates in the middle to go play with Kiss. Like they were very cool about it. Usually if something like that happens, they're like, well, fuck this band. Like we'll go with someone else. They were like, nah, we'll still take them. We'll find another band or a local opener for those 3 shows. And, you know, they still were supportive and kept us on the tour. So I'm always grateful to them for that, because that was such a huge experience. And that was the ultimate boot camp. And I think it was my management's clever decision to sort of put Endeavor After through boot camp of like, this is what it's going to be like. Like, here's a taste. Can you handle this?
Mm-hmm.
And I think we rose to the occasion at that time for sure.
Yeah. So you say boot camp, like you learned a lot. And then this is interesting. One piece of advice that you got from CC DeVille, the guitarist of Poison, he said, just make sure that you're there for the important moments, because there was a lot of cool things that he's done in his career, but he doesn't remember them because he was so fucked up on drugs or booze or whatever. So that really stuck with you.
I've never forgotten that.
Yeah.
I've never forgotten that. I've taken that to heart. So I never get obliterated or anything like that, because, you know, I first off, he's like, man, I wish I would have appreciated what I had, you know, like, cause we had the fucking world at our hands, and I have like nothing to show for it inside my head. You know what I mean? And
Right.
that's kind of everything.
Yeah, he has pictures, but he doesn't remember the pictures.
Right. He's like, shit, when did we take that? You know, and that's heartbreaking to me because that's like, dude, that's like amnesia of some of the most beautiful moments in your life.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's and from that moment on, I was like, all right, I'm not trying to be that cool guy who I can't fucking like beat Motley Crue's dirt antics, so why even try? You know?
Yeah, that's a different level for sure. But then, you did, like
that's
you said,
a whole nother level, man.
Yeah, so you got to open for Kiss in Japan, and I love this story because we talked about, you said Skid Row was a big influence, and you got to meet Sebastian Bach in one of those shows, right?
I met Sebastian Bach, and we had a funny encounter in the bathroom. He sees me. I'm coming out of the bathroom, and he's walking and he's like, "What's up, rockers? Great show!" And he's like cheering us on, and he has such high energy.
Yes.
And like,
yes, he does.
I can't even match his enthusiasm. Like him just saying, "What's up, rockers?" And he's doing like the Sebastian Bach voice, and I'm kind of in shock and awe because here's one of the dudes whose records kind of jump started my ship. It was kind of like a huge moment, and he was, he knew that we were on tour with Poison, and he said, he's like, "Oh, you guys are the ones that are on tour with Poison and Cinderella, huh?" And then he started dancing the Unskinny Bop video because we had cameras on and shit.
Oh,
because we were compiling our own little video documentary type deal that never saw the light of day. So he was kind of like giving us shit for the camera, and I was just like, man, this guy is so cool. He was so down to earth.
Yeah, no, he's
super cool. Good energy.
That's very cool. And then finally your record comes out for EndeverafteR, and you guys got some airplay. You had a song on Rock Band, a song on the show Scrubs, and then one thing that you had that was pretty good gig for you was that you had the one of your songs was used in the WWE Jeff Hardy's entrance. Did you get like a royalty for that or something? That seems like a pretty good gig.
I wish, bro. I wish.
Really didn't?
Nah, they didn't even give us the option. It was literally like, you can take this lump sum or you can leave it, and we'll get another band.
Okay.
And just because I've always wanted to do, because I think the music I create on occasion is pretty theatrical and epic sounding. So I've always wanted to do, like a fighter or a contender or an athlete entrance theme song. Like that's a dream. And when we got commissioned to do that, they just gave us a sizable lump sum, and that was it. That's all I ever saw. And to see it now, even it's awesome to be a part of it, but it's also kind of heartbreaking because it's like, man, I wish I could get some grocery money at least from this motherfucking song. Like shit. Like
he's got a different song now, though, right? Did they change it, or is he still using that one?
No, actually, Jeff Hardy's been fighting to use No More Words. For some reason, he's gotten some resistance on using that song.
Oh.
But when he returned to wrestling, and it's on my Instagram page, if you guys check it out, there's a video there. You'll see Jeff Hardy's face. Click on it, and he says he's just so ecstatic because he gets to bring back his original theme song, No More Words, and it's been like 6, 7, 8 years, and him trying to use this song, and him getting all this resistance. There was some shit with the rights, and everybody thought that it was me was the cause of him not being able to use the song. Until I posted, like, are you guys fucking crazy? Like, as an artist, all I want is that dude to use my song. Like, Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And finally he got the rights, and he made a huge statement on national television, and he's like, I'm going to be walking out to No More Words. And that in itself is a huge moment. So it's nice to be a part of that legacy.
Yeah, for sure. So, but then the band,
even if I'm not making anything off that legacy. Yeah,
well, this people hopefully people will still check you out. But then that band ended for whatever reason, and then you just started. Basically, I mean, you kind of did the same thing because you're the front man in that band. Now you're the front band in Michael Grant and the Assassins. But that's when you started Michael Grant and the Assassins, then, right? That was the next project.
Right. I started that just like maybe a year before I joined LA Guns.
Yeah, so that's an interesting story. You guys were rehearsing, and some British guy comes over and just like stopped you in your tracks without he hadn't even heard you play, and he asked you to audition for LA
Right.
Guns, right?
He just liked my look and my vibe. Like he just liked, like I came. It was a dress rehearsal, so we came, dressed to the nines, and we had, pro gear and stuff like that. So he saw me, and it was kind of like I don't know. It was a weird moment because I didn't know I didn't know what was going on at first. I was like, is this dude like into me? What's going on? He's like, he's he was kind of very touchy too, and I was like, what the hell? And he basically, all but courted me, man.
Yeah.
And they dangled the money carrot over my head for weeks, and I made them wait for, I don't know, like a month or so before I even kind of got back to them. Because I was already kind of getting the ball rolling for Michael Grant and the Assassins, and I knew that if I took this gig, it would probably take away from that. However, I was in a difficult spot in my life, so I needed that money.
Sure.
And unfortunately, that need for money was a little bit more important than releasing my full vision and stuff like that. So I had to pay the bills, and I had to do something, and that was the only thing that I could do at the moment that didn't require me getting a fucking real job.
Right. Yeah. But that
and would also kind of hone my skills and kind of
right.
help me perfect my craft. I mean, I was filling some pretty intense shoes. Like I'm pretty, those are huge shoes to fill, and I was like the only guitarist, so it was, there was double pressure, and I knew going into that band that the reputation that the band had in the '80s was going to carry. So it was just like when you're stepping into, like, let's say you were going to be the guitarist for Led Zeppelin, right?
Wow.
It's
Yeah, cool.
It's big shoes to fill, man, and
yeah.
and people are just going to diss you, And I had to fight uphill battles being the lead guitarist, like, for so long.
Yeah,
For so long.
really?
People would scream other people's names at me when I was on, and I'd be like, all right. And then by the end of the show, they'd be like, dude, you're fucking awesome, man. Holy shit. I'm like, yeah, shut your fucking mouth.
No, I know, because that's how, I think that's cool because that's how I became a fan. That's how I got to know you. So I think it helped your solo career too, but you won me over immediately. Like I went to a show in Phoenix here, and I was just so amazed, like how good you were. Like you were just, especially seeing you live is totally different. To see somebody play the guitar like that up close and personal, it blew me away. And I didn't even know that you did all the other stuff with the solo stuff.
Yeah, thank you, man.
So were you still kind of trying to do the solo stuff while you were still in LA Guns too? It's got to be tough, but
I was trying unsuccessfully because we had a very intense touring schedule. And by the time I got home, I'd be dead.
Right.
I'd be like just trying to recover from 3 to 4 weeks of dates, and the creativity wasn't flowing. And plus, I was also in some pretty shitty, toxic relationships that were, when you're in a bad spot, it could really, really destroy your creativity, really destroy it, man. And I think sometimes until you cut ties with some of those toxic relationships, that's the only time the music will flow.
Toxic relationships with the people in LA Guns or other bands or girlfriends or what?
All of the above.
Okay.
All of the above. All of the above simultaneously. And it's just like, it's funny, man, because like, when I was in LA Guns, I had so many friends. And when that split happened, it really showed me who was actually my friends. And it was such a magnanimous scale of people who just dropped like flies from my life. And
really?
I couldn't be more happy about it, bro. Like it was probably one of the things that I was the most happy about, because then you don't gotta, there's no more mystery of like, is this dude for real? Is he cool or not? It's like, you just showed me yourself, dude. So thank you. And now all I got is the real motherfuckers in my life. So it's nice. it definitely was hard when it was happening, but now I can see it as the blessing that it truly is.
So like what, like just people just wouldn't return your phone call and stuff?
I think like people unfollowing and, people not supporting and, people talking shit and, people, not even so secretly, but very openly rooting for your failure. Like all these motherfuckers just fuel my fire. And there's a lot of them.
Wow. Yeah, it is weird how the whole thing went down too. I heard you talk about it. I don't want to dwell on it too much, but it is weird that you just got a call. It wasn't even from LA Guns. It was from their manager. And they just said they're letting you go because it's time. That's all they told you. And you had kind of no idea what was going on?
I mean, I had an inkling just from my feelings of perception within myself. I just had a feeling because tensions were rising and there was like blowout moments where they were super uncalled for and out of nowhere. And,
blowout moments towards you or you were witnessing blowouts between other members of the band?
Oh no, a lot was towards me. I would be doing fucking nothing and getting blowouts towards me. I would be minding my own goddamn business and and I think it was at that point I was like, oh, the end is nigh. So I was shocked because of the timing and how it was done and the dirty things that were done after the fact. However, I always knew that, especially when I started getting them feelings, I always knew it was going to happen. The timing. And
what do you mean dirty things?
Professionalism
that was happening after the things you just talked about, how people unfollowed you and stuff like that, or was there other dirty things?
No, there's a lot of other dirty things that I kind of don't really want to go into, but just dirty, unprofessional, really like nasty things, saying stuff in the media about me, and even just a lot more. There's a lot more sordid shit that happened within that time that I have since then put behind me.
Yeah, and you still talk to Tracy. Did you talk to anyone else from the band?
I talked to Tracy and I talked to Shane. That's about it.
Okay.
They're like really the only ones who showed, some true friendship throughout the bunch anyway. So
crazy.
That's who I still fuck with.
Well, that's sad, but it is. I did think it was cool after the LA guy. You're talking about all this bad stuff happening, but there was some good stuff too, because right after the whole thing with LA Guns split, you got an offer to join Rat. I mean, so it really, arguably, Rat's a bigger band than LA Guns, but you turned it down.
Absolutely. I had to turn it down. For the sake of Michael Grant and the Assassins, it was time for me to get my music out and make myself sound good and not another band. I was getting really tired of making people sound good and boosting their profiles and then getting absolutely nothing to show for it. Like, I'm done with that shit. I'm ready to be my own boss and make music on my own terms, my own creative vision. Like, that's the true goal. That's where the true gratification comes from.
Well,
playing as a hired gun, it's not that fulfilling. And you might get a paycheck, but you don't see any of the real money. And you're also joining someone else's fucking soap opera, which I have no goddamn interest in. I already dealt with enough. I was in both versions of LA Guns, dude.
Oh, that's right, because the first one was with Steve Riley, right? Yeah, I forgot about that.
Right, and after the split with LA Guns with Phil and Tracy, I got asked to join the second version of LA Guns again with Steve Riley, and I was like, I love Steve Riley.
Yeah.
But I didn't even return his calls, and I meant no disrespect by my actions. I didn't want to give him the opportunity to talk me into playing with LA Guns, because he's pretty persuasive.
Oh, really?
And I'm sure he would have been dangling some serious dollars in front of my face to make it kind of like,
yeah,
well, maybe I should. And then next thing you know, I'm fucking. So I knew. And plus, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I knew that what I had with Always the Villain was miles better miles better.
Yeah, let's talk about that because the album "Always the Villain." I mean, I can't stop listening to this thing, and I'm not just saying. Like, I literally, that's why I reached out because I was like, I love this album. I think I had listened to a little bit of the other stuff, and again, I didn't know about Endeavor After. I'm just now discovering that one too. Great stuff, but I mean, especially the first two songs. I mean, I was immediately hooked. I was like, this is brilliant. I mean, so tell me about, first of all, what is Always the Villain? Is that a reference to your old bands like LA Guns and Endeavor After, or is there something, what is the meaning behind that title?
Well, it's kind of all encompassing to what we were just talking about, like the dirty deeds and, you know, me being painted out to be this villain in the media and this monster of a person from these toxic relationships in my life. And, you know, in my mind, I was like, you know what? You guys want a villain? You got it. Worst villain you've ever seen.
No, it's a good
and
song.
I just really identified. I really identified with, you know, the lyrics in that song, and you know, it was kind of like a silent "fuck you." So it was all encompassing to what we were just talking about.
No, I love it, and it's cool because you had 100% creative control. Even though you're on a record label, Frontier Records, they gave you 100% decision and creative control. Now, so you did not only wrote and you produced the songs, but you play everything, which is amazing. You sing guitars, drums, bass, vocals. You do the background vocals too, right?
Every single part you hear
is amazing.
Michael Grant, except for a couple drum tracks.
Well, so who helped you with the drum track? Was that Drum Machine then, or?
No, that was Shane Fitzgibbon, the former drummer of the LA Guns lineup that I was playing in. After my split, him and I, you know, we remained friends, and he really helped me because, you know, he's a miles better drummer than I am. And, you know, he really added some beautiful flavor to the tracks that he tracked. And he's one of those musicians you don't really got to explain anything to. He kind of just gets it and knows what the song needs. And he facilitated also the studios for those drum days of the drum tracks that he's on. So I'm really, really grateful to him for that.
Oh, very cool.
And yeah, he did it. He did amazing. He's the only other credited musician, you know, that played anything on the album other than those 5 tracks. Everything is me.
That's amazing. Now, is he going to join the band assuming that, you know, eventually I hope that you can tour?
I wish he would join the band. I think he's pretty busy. He's now the musical director for Kanye West, so he's pretty tied up with.
Wait, what?
With shit to do.
What does that even mean?
So he kind of plans all the live music and programs it in and engineers. He's got an engineering background.
Okay.
For recording studio music engineer background, so he's not only talented, he's technically pretty genius. So,
okay.
Somehow he acquired the gig of being Kanye West's musical director, and you could only imagine how much that pays.
Yeah, that sounds like a good gig. And he's
so trying to get that guy to play drums. Like, I'd have to put up Kanye dollars, and I don't got that.
Yeah. Do you think there's more soap opera in LA Guns or with Kanye West?
I'm gonna probably say LA Guns. Man.
Really? Yeah, because I don't know if you're following Kanye lately, but it's been interesting watching what he's going through. So.
There's just, you know, like, you know, as a dude who's been behind the scenes, there's a lot of behind the scenes shit y'all don't see.
I know. That's why I like doing these interviews. Kanye West shit
is put on blast in the media, so like It seems a little bit more intense. But like, you know, you guys got to think about all the shit that you don't hear and that you don't see.
Oh yeah, no, I know. That's why I love doing these interviews, because I get to learn about all sorts of stuff that I'm like, oh, I had no idea about this or that. So it's really interesting. Now, one of the songs on your new album, "Barrel of a Gun," is that an Endeavor After song, or I don't know if it was ever released, but was that originally Endeavor After?
Yeah, that was unreleased, and it was supposed to be the first track on the Endeavor After second album that never saw the light of day.
Mm-hmm.
And it's since its inception in Endeavor After, it's been rewritten pretty extensively. So there's none of the same lyrics and not even the same chorus. So it was a pretty different song then. I had to kind of rewrite it and figure out where I could bring it to kind of represent where I'm at currently, you know?
Yeah.
So that was probably the trickiest song to kind of record, just because it was like this odd puzzle piece that I had to cohesively make fit into the album.
Yeah, no, I think it all fits good. Like, how would you describe the sound? Because I felt like, I think Red Light Run is the one where, I think that was the first song I heard, and I almost felt like I was transported into the 80s. Like, it seems very 80s, but yet it still sounds contemporary. It doesn't sound dated at all. It sounds like it's a brand new song.
That's awesome, man. You know, I don't know. I just kind of I just let whatever come out and try to make it all get along.
Yeah, it's awesome. I definitely hear the Prince influence for sure too. That's very cool that you.
I definitely have some Prince Easter eggs throughout the album.
Really?
And yeah, definitely. Both in musical parts and vibe, and definitely if you got an astute ear, you'll be able to like, oh, that's some Princey shit right there for sure.
Oh, can you give us at least one of those Easter eggs?
I think that Easter egg would be the hats off in the guitar solo of "Break Me With You." That's a huge one.
Okay. Speaking of hats,
so if you listen to that guitar solo again, you'll be like, oh.
Okay, I'll have to check that out. But yeah, speaking of hats, I was going to ask you about this. Is your hat, that's kind of like your trademark. Is there a story behind that hat? Like, what is that hat from? Where'd you get that? It's cool.
My dad gave me that hat. And I've always just loved it just because my dad gave it to me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just kind of special. And now it's kind of dying because it's seen years on the road. And I'm reluctant to get a replacement. So, you know, once I hung my hat up, so to speak, with LA Guns, I sort of, in a way, retired that hat.
Oh.
Both for sentimental reasons and for just wanting to. That's why on the album cover, if you look at the back, like as the artwork, like I don't sport that hat anymore because I want to move towards a new chapter in my life.
Okay.
And just hope the music becomes the trademark, you know?
Yeah, no, it sounds great. So you got to do the Monsters of Rock cruise last year as Michael Grant and the Assassins, and you performed with Extreme, Tesla, Queensryche, a bunch of other good bands. How was that experience? Did you end up hanging out with a lot of those bands and the fans as well? I've never been on one of those Monsters of Rock cruise.
It was amazing. I got to hang with all the bands, and I had a great moment with Frank Hannon, Tesla. And it was in the morning, and we had just played the day before, or the night before, or whatever. And Frank Hannon comes up to me and he's like, "Hey, man, you got this song with like this swanky, lazy riff." He's like, "Dude, that song is killer. That is the one." And the song that Frank Hannon was talking about is what you guys know as Red Light Run.
Yes. Love that song.
And at that time, and this is before I tracked Red Light Run, I didn't think of it as like this special song. I was just like, oh, that's cool. And when we played it on the cruise consistently, and not just Frank Hannon, other musicians and fans were coming up to me, that Red Light Run song, and then I was just like, whoa, what? Out of all of our songs, that's the one? And they're like, yeah, man, that's it, dude. And I kind of surprisingly found how special that song is. And, now that song is just killing it for us, like doing really great on YouTube and on social music services and all that.
Yeah, so it is getting a good response.
It surprised me.
Really?
It surprised me. It's getting a great response, yeah.
That's good. I think it's super catchy. The whole album is really catchy. It's one of those ones where, because sometimes there's an album comes out and there's one or two good songs, but like the whole album, I've been listening to it on repeat. And it's just a lot of those songs, they get in your head. They're very melodic, I would say.
Thank you, man.
So
definitely.
yeah.
Got a lot of gears.
Yeah. So besides the bands that you've toured with so many big bands. Is there any bands that you have not toured with or worked with that you want to?
Absolutely. I would love to tour with like Foo Fighters, Smashing Pumpkins, Strokes, 1975. Would love an Aerosmith show. Like, I'd love to tour with Lenny Kravitz. There's definitely a lot of artists I would love to tour with that I've never worked with before.
Yeah. Did you have any shows planned before this pandemic, or was that something you guys were going to look at after the album was released?
We had a whole U.S. tour book, and just about to ink all the contracts to the 30 some odd dates, and then the pandemic happened.
Oh shit!
And all that was scrapped, and now we're just kind of waiting for things to get back to normal so we can get back to playing shows again and spreading the good word of always the villain.
Yeah.
But it's looking like a losing fight this year, to be honest with you, unfortunately.
For the whole year, you think?
Fight. I mean, you might get some single dates here and there, but you might get like a one-off or something from one of your favorite bands, but I really, really doubt that any band is going to be, doing full stadium tours and shit like that right now.
No, yeah, because I think I saw Great White did a show, and Kix has done a show, and I mean, I've seen some local music.
And they're getting mad shit for you. I know, playing those shows,
right? Yeah. So, is that part of what scares you too? I mean, not only getting the virus or something, but also like the shit you're going to get if you do a show.
I'm not too worried about that part. I'm more worried about the virus part.
Are you pretty scared of it?
Especially, well, just because I'm a new father. So, and my baby was born like at the start of the pandemic.
Oh, like, I didn't know.
Like,
congrats.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Thank you very much, man. Yeah, so she was born right into the age of the pandemic, and knowing that this person completely depends on me makes me a lot more cautious about, because when you go to shows, a lot of times you get like drunk people spitting in your face, telling you how much they love you, and it's all good and all, but like, I didn't want to put myself in that position. To be honest with you.
No, I think the meet and greets.
If I did play shows, I probably wouldn't be doing meet and greets.
Yeah, that shit's got to be done for a while, unless there's some sort of glass barrier between people at the meet and greets. Because you're right, because everyone's always drunk at those, or half the people are at least, and no social boundaries.
Oh man, they put their arm around you and they're sweating and fucking spitting in your face, and it's all good. And I appreciate your enthusiasm, but please keep the fluids to a minimum when talking to me.
Good to know. Good tip for people.
Saying.
Yeah, but it just seems like. So, are you doing like the Zoom shows and stuff? And you had some acoustic versions of some of these songs you're going to release?
I did some acoustic versions for 3 of the tracks on Always a Villain. And we just did a new video for Nightmares that was released like a week and a half or 2 ago. And I think we have a lyric video that we're developing for a song called Runaway.
Okay. Cool.
And right now, that's all of the visual art aspects of visual video type stuff for Michael Grant and the Assassins that we have planned, at least. Yeah.
So what do you?
I might try doing a video on my own for one of the other songs, like "Killing Me Slowly" or I don't know, one of the other songs. I'm not sure which one yet.
So what can you do with
Salvation, maybe? Yeah.
With all this time, are you going to just start writing the next record then? Or, I mean, because you're kind of trapped, right? If you can't do live shows, and or you're just going to still try to find a way to promote
I've been writing songs for the follow-up for the past 3 months now. So
okay.
I've got a little bit of I've got an EP's worth of stuff right now. And
nice.
My plan is to write at least, maybe 15 more songs and kind of just pick the best gems out of those 15.
Okay. Perfect. I can't wait to hear the next one. Yeah, I feel like there's gonna be a lot of cool stuff created during this time in terms of music and screenplays and all sorts of stuff because people have the time to do it.
Definitely.
Do, this might sound kind of cheesy, but do you think part of like, I know there's this whole social upheaval and division within our country. Do you think some of that has to do with the lack of music and live shows? Because I feel like that's one thing that brings people together. Like no matter what your background or politics, you come to a Michael Grant show. I'm sure there's people of all sorts of backgrounds, and now we don't have that. I mean, do you think that's part of like maybe if music, when it does come back, maybe the social upheaval will subside a little bit too?
I think it's definitely part of it, but it's hard because when people are intoxicated, they're not always making the best decisions, and sometimes with people infecting people, they're not trying to infect people.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they coughed and boom, it's just out there, and people are inhaling this shit, and like, they get a bug or whatever the fuck, or they get COVID, or so it's hard because people aren't really great at being trusted, and the numbers kind of dictate that. Especially right now, LA being one, where I am, being one of the top 5 hot spots in the fucking world for it. So,
yikes.
It's hard because there's a part of me that feels what you're saying, but there's a part of me that feels like, I don't want to take that risk, and I don't think anyone else is going to watch out for my safety, So
no, definitely, yeah.
Why even take that chance? Like huge groups gather, man. Like, all bets are off, dude.
Yeah, for sure. No, I agree. So I don't know if your manager gave you the notes, but I do always end with a charity or like a cause, preferably something non-political that you want to raise awareness of. Did you have something for that?
I did not get this note actually, so I didn't. I didn't see anything about this. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's all right. You can message me later. Or unless is there something a charity that you've worked with before, or a cause that you want?
No, not really. Like,
no.
What are some causes that you support?
Oh, so many. Like Helinski's Hope is one of the ones that I've actually had the family on there. Their son was a football player, and he killed himself. He was like going to be the starting quarterback at a D1 school, and he shot himself. So they're trying to raise awareness of suicide and mental health. So that's a big one that I've supported that one. And then we've had a bunch of people for like,
that must be huge right now, the mental health stuff right now, just because people are like locked, and it really brings on the manic depressive and everyone, even in myself, man. Like, definitely brought out, definitely brought out some negativity and at times that I've had to sort of check myself on. So yeah, I think people are probably definitely having a hard time there, man. Well, is there anything for diabetes?
What's that?
Is there anything for diabetes?
Yeah, I mean, we could absolutely. I'm sure there's something that people could donate money to. That's a big one too. Do you know people that are diabetic or?
Yeah, my dad is.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. I'll put a link down there. I'll find the biggest diabetes charity. I'm sure there's probably something. Maybe Great. Your buddy Brett Michaels dude. Does for. I know he's diabetic as well. So from Poison.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, we used to work out together, and we'd be shooting insulin and stuff.
Do you still talk to those guys?
I haven't talked to Brett for maybe 3 or 4 years. We played a show together at some state fair back when I was in LA Guns, and I was approved to come back to his dressing room and hang out with him for a while, and we talked, and he was really cool.
So when you said you did have like 30 dates planned, was that with another band, or was that just a club tour with Michael Grant?
That was just a club tour for us, and we would always have local support opening and closing, and we would play like we'd always try to play like around 10:30, 11 or something like that, and then there'd always be a band that closes after it.
Were you going to come to Phoenix? That's where I am.
Yes, we were. We were supposed to play some venue that has like a pool in it.
Oh yeah, that place got shut down though, even before the pandemic, I think. If it's the one I'm thinking of, it's the one up in North.
I think that's the one, and they said, I think at the time those promoters, who I forget right now what their names are, they said they had a new venue and they booked us for this new venue, but I know that their old venue was that pool one.
Oh, okay.
They had some pool right in the middle, which was like in the most inconvenient place because it was like right at the front of the stage. You had like 5 feet before the pool in back of you, and then more people after the pool. It was I didn't like it.
Yeah, you played there before with LA Guns. I saw you. That's where I saw you, and you did the Purple Rain song and everything. It was really cool.
Oh yeah,
that's fun.
Yeah, that venue had a really weird setup. I remember it just being like an uncomfortable setting.
I don't know why they couldn't just put glass over the pool when they do a show. I don't know why that was so.
Agreed. Like, even if you have to bolt it down for the night, if that's your fear, like just real thick 1-inch plexiglass right over the pool. Some caution tape for people not to, kill themselves on the edges, or some cones or something like that. Anything, dude. But it was I just remember being like, this is weird, man, because like after 3 or 4 rows of people, and they're probably fearing for their life if they get pushed from someone in front of them, that they're just going to dive into this pool, and not everybody wants to get wet.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, that was a weird, but yeah, hopefully the new place would be cool assuming it eventually opens. So, well, thanks so much for.
Yeah, we definitely had Phoenix on the map.
Well, definitely. Well, I hope that you can come at some point, whether it's next year or whenever, and I'll definitely come see you. I'll try to bring some people as well. That should be fun.
We would love to. We would love that, man. Thank you.
Cool. Right on.
Look forward to meeting you in person, brother.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for making such a great album, and I look forward to the next one too, even because I'm really enjoying this one. So it's
my pleasure, man. I'm really glad you like the album, man.
I love it. I think it's brilliant.
And, so everything far, that you do.
Yeah. So far, it's the best album of the year.
Support.
Yeah.
Thank you, man. That's saying a lot.
Yeah. No, I think so far. I mean, there's been a lot of music coming out too. So. I'm loving it.
Thank you, man. I'm over the moon about it, bro.
That's awesome. Very cool. Well, I hope to see you guys live soon, and otherwise, stay in touch.
Me too, brother. Well, take care and be safe. And it was a pleasure doing this with you, bro.
Yeah, you too. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Take care, man.
So that's Michael Grant of Michael Grant and the Assassins. Check out the new record, Always the Villain. Follow Michael on social media to keep up with what he's doing, and hopefully we'll see some tour dates at some point. You can follow me on social media if you want to. And if you enjoyed this interview, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any future interviews. And if you really want to be nice, you can write me a review and I'll give you a shout out on social media. Thanks so much for listening. Have a great day or night. And remember to always go for what you want and shoot for the moon.